Okay, so apparently a whole shit ton of Republicans voted against a measure that would grant the rail workers 7 paid days of sick leave a year. These rail workers who are responsible at all times of the day and night for delivering products by rail through the United States. You see trains all the time. Not a lot of passenger trains going around. But a lot of them, in all their slow graffiti-covered glory, are there to do one thing mainly, which is to quickly transport goods. And these people attempted to strike because they get no paid sick days. And a whole shit ton of Republicans just filibustered the fuck out of a bill that would grant them 7 paid sick days a year. And then they actually passed a bill that tries to tell them not only are they not going to get these sick days, but they can never strike. They're not allowed to say they're not going to do their jobs unless they get what they want. Let's look up the definition of strike. Just in case anybody doesn't know what it means. An act or instance of striking is a concerted stopping of work or withdrawal of worker services as to compel an employer to accede to workers' demands or in protest against terms or conditions imposed by an employer. Striking is something they used to do a long time ago. Striking is the reason all of you get sick days to begin with. Striking is the reason you have fire extinguishers. They are the reason you have OSHA regulations. Strikes and grievances are the reason you have fire exits. They are the reason your 10-year-olds are not working in mines. They are the reason you get paid in cash, actual money, and are not forced to be paid in credits to a company-owned store. Do you remember that song, I Owe My Soul to the Company Store? That was a song based during a time where they did have a company store. I think it was for coal miners. These people did not get paid with money. They got paid in special company tokens that they could only use at a company-run store. It's like those poor people that work at Walmart and get paid so little, but they get that pittance of a 10% discount at Walmart, so they take their paychecks and they use it to shop right at Walmart. And it's sad. But, you know, people will say at least they have a choice. At least they can shop anywhere they want because they do have real money. Imagine not even having that much of a choice. Think about how horribly those people have it. There are people that are stuck doing that when they work for corporations like Walmart or Amazon. And striking, that's what did all of this. That's what got you the few rights you have in a workplace. A strike is also meant to show, to prove how much power the workers actually have. You see, you don't have workers, then you don't have a business. You don't have workers, you don't have a fucking economy. All of that stuff goes away. I thought we had learned this, or at least our newer generations had learned this with COVID. You know, when they were calling everybody essential workers, heroes, you know, and celebrities were singing "We Are the Champions," making money off of their heartfelt, feel-good songs about how much they appreciate the essential workers during a global pandemic who are out there packing your groceries and filling your prescriptions and doing your medical care, all that shit work that you look down on people for, that the entire nation realized they could not deal without, even for a day. Even for a day, no matter what the mandates were, no matter what the law said, no matter what the medical authorities advised them strongly to do, they still needed people to transport their groceries, to check out their groceries, to pack their groceries, to deliver their prescriptions, to be there at hospitals to help them. And these people many times didn't have a choice, because if they didn't go to work, they weren't going to get paid. It didn't matter there was a pandemic. It didn't matter these people have family members and friends that suffer from this or that they can't go out, that they need care themselves. It didn't matter. All right? Because most of these types of jobs don't give paid sick days. They'll threaten your job if you take an unpaid sick day. A lot of these workers don't get health insurance through their job because they're told they don't work hard enough and long enough to qualify for that. And your rail workers are actually essential workers as well. As everybody knows, that the entire fucking government was shaking in their boots over the idea that these people would stop working if they did not get what they wanted. These people are on call practically 24 hours a day. They're working early mornings, they're working late nights, they're working overnights. And they want paid sick days. Sick days that they don't lose pay over. And a whole bunch of Republicans in Congress just said, no, you piece of shit, you're going to get your ass back to work, you're going to keep the products going across state lines. We are not going to have another economic shutdown. We're not going to have any more shortages. We're not going to have any more delays in our products. You're going to get your stank asses back to work, whether you like it or not. And they want to tell them on top of that, you're not allowed to strike. I hope these people walk off their fucking jobs tomorrow. I hope every single train in this country comes to a grinding halt. I hope it gets to the point where you can't tell a train is a train anymore when you see one go by again, whenever it is you get to see one again, because it's so covered with graffiti and it's so covered with tags and all this other shit that it doesn't look like a train anymore because they've been abandoned for so long. It looks like a giant rectangular fishing lure going by when they finally get running. Well, if these rail workers strike, this stuff doesn't get shipped. These people aren't working. These stores, these outlets, they don't get their products. And if they don't get their products, then their people don't get their, well, what do they think they're, yeah, that's exactly what the fuck they want to do to you. That's the point of a strike. They hold the power. They're the ones doing the work. You're not giving them sick days. These people get nothing, while their bosses, the people that own all these railways and these carts and whatever the fuck else they have their hands in, are making unbelievable profits. It's the same with any business. And this is one example of why a strike works. This is the example of why you strike. You don't get your product, stuff doesn't get shipped, it completely fucks up the entire chain of events here when it comes to product getting where it needs to go and other people in a shortage. Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck they want to do to you. This is what happens when you don't treat workers with respect. This is why they strike. And they're not asking for $1 million salary a year, although feasibly they could. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They're the ones that do this labor. They're the ones that do this legwork. You don't want to treat them right. You don't want to give them sick days. You don't want to give them proper pay. You don't have workers. And if it fucks up your bottom line, if it fucks up everything for you, good. That's part of why they strike. It's like people nowadays. They don't put up with shit in these menial jobs anymore. I'm one of them. I actually just walked off of my job a few weeks ago. There's a trade-off. And again, I thought this was something people finally got through their thick-ass skulls during COVID when they, finally realized that without your workers, without your working class, you don't have an economy. You don't have a bottom line anymore. If you can't pay these people, if you don't treat them with respect, if you don't give them what they're due, then they don't have to work for you. They can walk right the fuck off. And that's when you'll see exactly what you can't do without these workers. That's when you learn. And that's why people strike. They don't get anything unless they strike. It's like dealing with children in a way. You show them what you're going to take away from them, and you see how quickly they fall in line. This is power the workers have, okay? You don't have people to run these railroad cars. You don't have people to operate these trains, this method of transporting goods. The goods don't get anywhere. These people, like I said, are not asking for the world. And if I were a rail worker, I'd be asking for a hell of a lot more than 7 paid sick days. Do you know how many sick days your members of Congress get every year? As many as they want. You know how many of these sick days they're paid for in a year? All of them. Do you know who covers the bill on those unlimited paid sick days that they take every year? You do, with your tax dollars. I think maybe people need to use this as another modern example of how much power the working class actually has. I don't know why they don't get it through their head. These people need to walk off their jobs. They need to all strike once and for all. That's their choice to do it. They have it within their power to do it. I don't care what some fucking piece of paper says. You have every right to strike in this country. Striking is part of what made this country what it was. You know that they are very, very scared when they have to try to tell you you're not allowed to walk off a job. You can do whatever the hell you want. Whatever you want. Walk off. Walk off. That's the only way these people learn. Like children or a little dog where they create a mess. You have to grab them by the back of the head and rub their fucking nose in it. Not that I ever do that to an animal. I'm just saying. I would do that to a person if I could. I would do that to these people if I could. But, you know, hypothetically speaking, it's the same thing. That's why you strike. Everything goes to hell for you. Yeah, that's the idea. That's what the fuck they want to do to you. That's what you get when you fuck with people who do your work for you. They don't have to do your work for you. And I hope they all walk off. I hope there's a massive strike, a 100% strike. Just as easily as I walked off my job a few weeks ago, just as easily as anybody could walk off their job. There's a trade-off. You don't treat me like a human being. You don't pay me right. What? And that's also something that's really rich when you quit a job, that they're just not doing it for you, you know? They always like to make it out like it's your loss. You're losing out. You know, you're the bad person. No, leaving you high and dry is exactly what the fuck I wanted to do to you. That's exactly why I quit. I get really pissed off enough. I'm not giving you a 2-week notice. Do I get a 2-week notice when you fire me? I don't have to give you any notice. And what loss is it of mine? Oh no, where the hell will I go to find a job where I get treated like shit? Where the hell am I going to go to find some place that pays $12 an hour with no benefits? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you out of your fucking mind? No, I hope they strike again. You know, it's that simple. It's as simple as just saying no. Never underestimate the power of the word no. It's your choice what you do. Nobody can force you to do anything. And if you're not allowed to strike, quit. Quit. Dude, trust me. You can go to a coffee shop and get paid sick days. You can go to a Target and get health benefits. There's a trade-off. There's a line. Don't put up with it. The more you put up with it, the more this cycle perpetuates itself. The more nothing changes. Things never did change until people put their foot down and said, no. And that's what these rail workers need to do. Abandon all these trains. I want to see a train go by in a week or a month or however long it is until they, these business owners, can fix it their damn selves. I want to see the trains go by looking like the fucking circus is in town. because they're so graffiti ridden, because nobody's been working them for a very long time. Do you think that this bill, was signed with the rail workers in mind or with the owners in mind? It's money. And, it's money for you. Well, it's money for these rail workers too. They were literally asking for crumbs. And you tried to exterminate them like rats. Cut them out completely from the pantry. In fact, there's nothing more American than putting your foot down and saying, that's not how it works. And this is an example of what I mean when I say the people are the ones that hold the power. They're the ones performing the work. Just say no. Say no. You don't do shit until you get every single thing you want. If they can't make it work in the way that you want it to, if you cannot have a say at all in, means of production, in how you perform your job, all of that shit, then I guess that's a failed business model right there. I guess their business just isn't feasible. They don't get to sit in their golden thrones and dictate how things are going to work and expect people to put up with it. These rail workers aren't putting up with it. So, and that's how it should be. That's how it once upon a time was in factories and mines. We could very easily do that again. Everybody can do it if they want to. I hope it works out for them.